works properly. Let me just make sure the sound is working. Alrighty. Move that to here and that to here. All right. Hypothetically, any second now, we should be able to tell if sound is working or not. Maybe. Okay. Do we have sound? Hopefully we have sound. Ah, yes, we have sound. Wonderful. Okay. So, a little bit of a different setup today because I'm not at my home. But today we're going to be doing a Sons of Horus-ish paint scheme that I've been using for my practice models for my upcoming Sons of Horus for the new Horus Heresy boxes that are coming out. And so I thought, since oh good, someone said they can hear me. Peyton, well done, well done. So I thought since I'll be doing that a lot, I may as well make a video out of it. So I'm gonna be starting off. Oh, I should say this model was primed with Chaos Black spray from Games Workshop, and then Zenithal with Wraithbone spray, also from Games Workshop. So after that, I'm going to start with Coelia Green Shade. This is an old pot of it, but they do still make it. You will find it in a pot looking like this if you wish to go purchase it. It's the same color, same formula, all that, so no worries there. And we're just going to put this all over the armor. We're going to use this basically like a contrast paint. I'm just going to get it everywhere. Long strokes as normal when we're using contrast paint or things like contrast paint. So we don't want them, we don't want splotches or anything like that. This is a Mark IV Marine from the Trail at Calth that I'm using for this. So I unfortunately do not have my hands on any of the new models just yet. That will be changing shortly though. But for now, any of these Marines will work just fine, and the paint scheme is the same no matter what. Stuff goes on quite smooth, and it has quite a strong coverage. Honestly, it's almost as good as some of the contrast paints. I was kind of surprised. I was going back and forth with a friend of mine trying to figure out a Sons of Horus paint scheme, and kind of hitting some brick walls and not really able to figure it out. And then one of the paint schemes we found started with Coelia Green Shade. I figured, well, why don't we just only do Coelia Green Shade? Why not just do some nice Zenithal and slap that on there and see what we get? And honestly, it worked out pretty well. I forgot the other side of this leg. But it won't be exactly on. I'm sure some true Sons of Horus fans will be like, oh, that's the wrong shade for the Sons of Horus. But Sons of Horus is a new army to me, so this will work just fine. So I think that's everything. I think I've got it all. That's going to be a different color, so we don't need to do that. That appears to be all his armor. Just going to smooth that out a little bit. All right, so it looks very blue in this on the video here. Let's see if I can. Does that change anything? No. Let's see. It's much greener in real life. Let's see if I can get it to shift. If I can get the camera to shift towards the, there you go. It's a little more green, that yellow behind it. Um, but yeah, it looks almost baby blue on camera, at least for me. But it's green in real life. And I'll add some pictures when I get back home. Um, I'll add some pictures of the final products, and you can see that it really is green. I'm not making it up. So that's our armor done, though. Now we will move on to some details. We're going to use Black Templar for this. And as always, this is a battle-ready paint scheme. We are just going for simplicity here. So all the details on this guy, we're just going to black in with this Black Templar. So it'll be the weapons, not the trim. The trim is going to be in gold, but all the non-gold metallics and stuff are just going to be blacked in, and then we'll add some details in silver later. But for now, just going to be black. These grenades, we'll get them. I'm going to switch paintbrushes here because this one's a little too fat for what I want. Grab this one. And then this thing back here. Do that black. And I'm doing them in black, where some of this stuff is going to be silver, but I do this because of one of the things I like to say a lot on this channel, which is that you want to try to eliminate all your primer as soon as you can in your paint scheme. And you do that because it gives you outs when you may not normally have had outs. So for instance, if say I think I have an hour to paint a miniature and then, oh crap, I only actually have 20 minutes. If you cover your primer as soon as possible, then your miniature can be quote unquote finished. All your primer's covered, you got color on everything, and you could technically roll up to a game and be playing with a fully painted miniature just fine. But say I don't black out some of these details that are going to be silver later, and then I have to get up and don't get to come back and haven't done the silver, well, then I have this bare white primer showing, and my miniature's not finished. And then say I don't get another chance to paint before I have my game, well, then I don't have a fully painted miniature. And sometimes that doesn't matter, but sometimes it does, like games like 40K, where you get 10 points for being fully painted. That could absolutely matter. So since we don't mind a dark undercoat under our black anyway, there's no reason to not just do this here. And then if we have to take a break later and don't get to the silver, well, no harm, no foul. We can just come back next time and paint on the silver. But until then, we've got ourselves a fully painted miniature. So there's the black done. And now, keeping in that same school of thought, I'm going to use some not Flesh Terror red. Here we go. Blood Angels red. And do the plume on this guy's head. This guy, not that it really matters, this kit's been out a long time, but this guy comes with his plume facing this way, back and forth, or side to side. I flipped it to be back and forth because that is how all plumes should be. A sideways plume is pointless. The only thing it does is pick you out as a target for the enemy. A plume back to back, while it still may be slightly more visible than no plume at all to the enemy, can allow your troops lined up either side of you to see you. And mohawks are cooler than side hawks. I don't know what you'd even call that. Stupid is what it is. I think that's all the red on him. It is. So now we're going to find some Gore-Grunta fur. And I'm not as organized here as I normally am at home, so give me a moment. This is an old... There we go. Oh, just found out my Dawnstone pot is dried out completely. Well, that's terrible. Gorgonta fur is what we're going to use next, and this is going to be for his tabard, as well as his pouches and his belt. And the end of this tabard, the ends are probably going to be silver, perhaps gold, but probably silver, but we're just going to block it in with Gorgonta so that what I said earlier, if we have to stop in the middle, we'll be done. Get these pouches. These pouches are, because of the way we zenithal, they're pretty dark, but just a little bit of color on them will still show up, so that's fine. Same with the belt here. Not going to be super obvious that it's brown, but it will still show up a little bit. You just get around there. There we go. All right. So now we're going to go on to our gold. And for this gold, or for this, the gold on this guy, we're going to use Necro Gold from Scale 75. And there's not really an equivalent of this in the Citadel range, unfortunately. But I'm sure if you mix a little bit of black in with like a Liberator Gold or some dark silver in with a Liberator Gold, you could probably get close. But this is just going to be for the trim on the shoulder pads, as well as a couple other details on him. I'm just going to carefully apply this. Might make a couple mistakes. This trim is pretty small. I'm not super concerned with it though. As always, battle ready. If I'm trying to paint 60 of these guys in a day or in a couple days, I'm not worried about a mistake here or there. And mistakes like getting a little bit on the color of the shoulder pad or something can always be fixed later if you have the time and have the want to do so. Always make sure to get the flats of your shoulder pads there. I will forget that sometimes and then discover it later, and it's no fun. Okay. And then the backs. Well, I also don't have my hair dryer here, so it's kind of humid in this room that I'm in. So the paint isn't going to dry super quickly. So we may get a couple of mistakes just from that, painting over some other wet paint when we do some of the other details, but I'll show you some fully painted models in this scheme at the end of this stream, so that if I do make a couple mistakes on these guys, they will not be present on those other ones. All right, so that's the gold. I think painted. Yep. So now we're going to use some silver. For that, we're just going to use plate mail metal from the Army Painter. The equivalent of this for Citadel is Ironbreaker. Ironbreaker was out of stock when I needed some, and so I just picked up plate mail metal, and I'm just using it until it's gone from this bottle, and then I'll most likely switch back to Ironbreaker. So I'm going to paint the teeth on the chain sword with this, and then just a couple of the other details on the chain sword, like that dot there. He's got a rivet here, this little vent thing or whatever it is. And then there's another little circle right there. On the other side are the chainsaw like speed controls, I guess. They're little triangles. We're going to paint those in silver also. That circle, that rivet, that rivet, and then these little triangles, and then this circle. And then on the plasma pistol, we're going to paint just a couple little dots in here, and then the front here in silver. And we're going to come back and paint the plasma, obviously, but I'll get to that at the end. Give our black as much chance to dry as possible. And this is just kind of about picking out some random details to be silver, more or less. Then I'm going to get this circle here in the middle. And these bits down here at the bottom. This brown is still a little bit wet, but we'll get the idea still. I'm just going to rinse my brush and then carefully do the rivets. Probably not going to be able to tell much on the stream, but there is paint on them. He's got some rivets on his armor as well. And let's see, he's got some rivets on top of his shoulders here, or his backpack here. I do silver on the sides of their helmets. The silver is kind of just like picking out any details just to give it some visual interest. Oh yeah, this circle I do in silver. And it doesn't mean necessarily every rivet is going to get painted, but we'll get the idea, even if only a couple are. There we go. I think that's all the silver. Oh, the grenades. Forgot about the grenades. I just kind of do a sort of overbrush on the grenades, so we leave some of the black in the recesses there, but just kind of do that, and that's good enough. Then we're going to take some corn red and just paint in the eyes. Super simple. For battle ready, we're just going to do one color, but eyes are a great thing to come back to at a later date and spruce up. They're super easy to spruce up also. You take a lighter color, so for this we might take Fire Dragon Bright, and then a white or a very bright gray or something, Corax white in this case. You take your lighter color, you just want a color that's in the same sort of spectrum, so orange to red, but lighter, and you put a dot of it right in on the inside corner of his eye, right in there. And then you take your white and you put a tiny dot in the outside corner of his eye. I'm not going to do that right now because the paint is wet, and again, this is battle ready, but if you wanted to spruce up your eyes, that's what you do. So I'm just waiting. I think our black is dry enough now, so we will do the plasma on his plasma pistol real quick, and super simple again. I'm going to take some Techless Blue and just paint in the coil. Nothing too fancy here. We are going to use the glaze that I have been using a lot on stream and in videos recently, which is sadly unavailable, but I will tell you how to make your own if you need to. I think I've also said different recipes on how to make it in different videos, so I clearly have made it multiple ways. So now, give that a couple seconds to dry, but now we're going to use some Gulliman Blue. Again, this is glaze, it's out of production. I have a bunch of bottles saved up that I will hold on to forever until they're gone. because it is precious to me. But if you want to make your own, you don't have that, you can take some Aethermatic Blue, like this, and some Talisar Blue, like this. 3 parts Aethermatic Blue, 1 part Talisar Blue. And all, if you don't never mixed paint before and you don't know what parts means, just means however you want to measure it. Typically you measure in drops, but you can measure in, whatever, teaspoons, gallons, whatever. Just use your same measurement for both things. So let's say drops. You take 3 drops of this, 1 drop of this, mix it together. You've got yourself some Guilliman Blue substitute. No problemo. So, Guilliman Blue. And we're going to put that pretty heavily over this plasma coil here. Just like that. And then if that dries before we finish the rest of him, we'll take some Blue Horror, no, not Blue Horror, Baharoth Blue right here and just do some highlights on it. But it may not dry before we get out of here. So the next thing we're going to do is take some Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil. And put this on our gold and our silver. So we'll start on the weapon here where it looks to be mostly dry. I'll get my different paintbrush also. Grab this one. And get it down here on this silver. Silver's still a little wet down here. Because again, don't have my hair dryer. Well, that's okay. Just wick up our silver that decided to come undone there. And then just put a little bit of black down there. And that'll be fine. There we go. Then we'll put a little bit of black here. This is Nuln Oil. I think I said that. Here on the grenades, on the pauldrons here, just along the edges. It's not as important on these Mark IV guys because they have such skinny shoulder trims, but on other ones, like on the guys I'll show you, the fully done ones, then it becomes more important. And what I like to do is put it all over the shoulder pad because it'll get just a little bit on and it leaves a nasty mark, and then I just take my finger and just wipe off the middle of the shoulder pad like that, and it kind of blends it out and looks better in my opinion. So I'm going to get some here, just down there. No, you mean Frank's Red Hot Sauce? Yeah, exactly. Put it on everything. And I'm just going to get it up here on top of the helmet. And then just wipe it off on the sides there. There we go. Put some in here just to darken that up. And then that, and then I'm just going to put it right on the edge here of the mohawk, where the mohawk meets the trim, just to darken that up a little bit. And of course you could go crazy and do all sorts of extra things. You could highlight the mohawk, you could highlight the black on the weapons, you could highlight the armor itself. I haven't actually figured out a color to highlight the armor with. I haven't needed to highlight the armor yet, but if I do on a parade ready or competition piece, I will put an addendum in the comments of this video saying this is what I highlighted with. So far though, I haven't highlighted anything. But yeah, that is basically it. I will pull out now some completed miniatures with their bases and stuff all done, because the base requires quite a bit of texture paint, and so I don't want to do that on stream because it takes forever to dry. But I'll pull these out and explain how the bases work. So I've got 3 types of dudes here. I've got your regular old Cataphractii Terminators, your Cataphractii Terminator Lord, and then regular old Chaos Marines. So I'll just talk through the base real quick. As you can see here, this is the same paint scheme. But so what we do is we first, I gotta put these guys down because I gotta show you the paint. So first we do Armageddon dust all over the base. Then we take a little bit of cork. This is just a 1/4 inch cork sheeting. You just tear some bits of it off, just like this. You can round off the edges if you want, just with your finger or a knife or whatever. Then I just stick them in the texture paint, and as it dries, it sticks them down like glue, no problem. Um, then I take some Grelin Earth, and I just put this down in the Armageddon dust in a couple places. It blends in really nicely as it dries, and then cracks to give us some crackle effect. Let's see if I can find that for you. So there's some, you can see the crackle right there. There might be some more somewhere on this guy. Oh yeah, some right there. It's just a nice little detail that's easy to do on their bases. So then I let that completely dry. Then, then we take some Nazdrag Yellow, cover the base completely. Then while that's still dry, we take some Fire Slayer Flesh, put that and just kind of blend it around in a couple of little places, wherever you want, really. Then we take some Snakebite Leather and do the same thing, sort of focusing on the pieces of cork or the rocks that we did with this. Then again, we let that dry completely. Then we take a little tiny bit, I have it here, of Wildwood. Here we go. Wildwood, again, just focusing around the rocks just to make them a little darker. Then, once that's completely dry again, we take some Cadian Flesh Tone. If I have it here, I must not have it here. Oh, here we go. Some Cadian Flesh Tone, and we just dry brush the base with that. And then we add these tufts from Gamer's Grass. These are Alien Fire tufts. I'm not sure if I have the label here. I don't think I do, but they're Alien Fire. We just stick those on. And then I use this Noir Black from Reaper as the base rim. It's just a slightly off black, grayish black, and I really like that a lot for the base rims. And yeah, so that's it about it. So this guy, we will he'll get a base eventually, but for now that's it. I don't have the editing capabilities while I'm not at home, so there won't be any pictures of him fully done, but eventually there will be, probably. Maybe I'll show him off in the next video. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. Maybe you are inspired to paint your own Sons of Horus army, or maybe you're inspired to never paint Sons of Horus ever because they're disgusting. That, hey, at least you watched it. I appreciate it either way. If you want to see more of these types of videos, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, it helps other people find it, and I will see you on the next one.